like, are
Sounds
we
simple.
even,
Nicole.
But also Tom.
But also Tom.
But also Jamie Lloyd.
Jamie Lloyd.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Off to Broadway, the podcast where we deep dive into anything and everything musical theater. I'm Tara.
I'm Stefania.
And in today's episode, I'm not going to call it a bonus episode, but it's kind of a bonus episode because we've never done something like this before. But it's time for our New York recap. This is maybe for a very specific audience. So if anybody is interested in the rush process, this episode is for you. And if you're listening to us for the very first time, this is not a standard episode, but I hope you enjoy. So we just came back from our... How many days were we gone? 5?
Well, we had like 4 show seeing days, and we arrived the day before and we left the day after. So 5 days? 4 or 5 days?
5. Yeah. Weekend. We went first week of October. So a few weeks ago, by the time you're listening to this on episode release. And then as soon as we came back, we went to another show, which I'll tell you what that is later. But we're kind of going to take you through our entire process because I feel like for us, this would be really interesting to listen to somebody else talk about. So I'm sure someone is interested in how we saw as many shows as we did in as little of time as we did. So to just make that blanket statement, we saw 8 shows in 4 show seeing days. We could have seen 9, but I think that would have pushed us over the edge.
I really think, we'll get into the schedule, but I really think having our 3-show day be our first day was good because we were losing steam by the end. Gotta be honest. It was
Steph got sick, so we really got pushed around.
Okay. Like we were really losing steam by the end. So having that 3-show day be that high energy, we're still feeling good, still feeling like healthy, well rested, enthusiastic. Whereas, our 8th show, I was happy that it was a show we'd seen before. We weren't like dead center. We were off to the side. I didn't have to think too hard about it. Or focus too much. I was happy with, that final show that we ended up seeing, versus that first day, which was super intense and very running. Did not have a lot of time to even eat sometimes.
Right. I will say for anyone that is attempting to do kind of this schedule, what we're telling you right now might not work for you. It depends on the weekend that you're there, what day of the week it is. Things change all the time. We'll tell you our tips and tricks on how we set ourselves up for success. But I think my number 1 tip here would be go in with an open mind and see what happens. Because for us, we had a plan in place, but if things didn't fall into the way that they were meant to, which they did, and I don't even know how they did for us on certain things that we're going to talk about. But we were open to being if this didn't work, we're going here. If this didn't work, we're thinking about doing this. So I would say just go in with an open mind and don't do this with someone that doesn't really like theater because you might not be friends by the end of this trip.
With that, also have a plan.
Yes.
You need to know where you're going and what you want to be doing, and you need to be researching in advance as to the best ways to get tickets, what the show schedules are, what time to be at certain places, what the rush process means, or how it works exactly. So when you go to the box office, you can be confident in what you ask for, and you can kind of plan where to be. So the true thing is have a plan, but also be really flexible.
Yes. Which in any other situation makes no sense. But when you hear what we're about to tell you, I think it makes perfect sense. So let's start with what you were doing pretty religiously before we went to New York, which is being on our favorite website these days, Reddit.
I was on the Broadway Rush Report Reddit. Some days there's the Reddit, and then there's the subreddit Broadway, and then every day someone posts Broadway Rush Report. It seems to be a specific person. It seems that they walk around and look as to what the rush lines look like, and then other people can post. And when I was there, I was I'm posting. I use this resource. I'm contributing to it right now. I am telling people what I see. We only ended up doing Rush 2 days, but I was I'm gonna contribute. So I was looking at it for about a month in advance, specifically even for the days that we wanted to in-person rush, and to see what the lines were, what times people wanted to show up, how likely people were getting tickets, how many tickets they had, where the tickets were. I was also watching, I'll shout him out, Brian, the business analyst on TikTok, because he'll
We
walk
would send them
around.
to each other like every day. Like when I saw one, I would send it to Steph. When she saw one, she would send it to me. I was looking at the rush reports too, but like we were looking at the same things, but it was like we both needed to get into our head like what we were doing. I do want to say, just to give the timeline, our days available for shows were Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Thursday has potential of 3 based on the current Broadway schedule that's on right now. And so did Saturday. So we did have like a backup if we needed to. But as Steph said, like we really went in trying to get that 3 show Thursday so that we could be like successful during the rest of our rush process for the rest of the weekend. So back to Reddit. Super helpful. People are like commenting back to each other. The thing that I found like not annoying but hard was like Thursdays were not as reported on as other days, and that was the day that we absolutely needed to know what the rush report was looking like.
So let's talk about what our plan was for Thursday. So the plan for Thursday, very few shows have a Thursday matinee, and looking at the shows that have Thursday matinees, I think Gatsby has a Thursday matinee. What else has a Thursday matinee? I don't know. Our plan was The Outsiders for the Thursday matinee. Tara had already seen it. I hadn't seen it. I think if a show that neither of us had seen that we were super interested was on a Thursday matinee, maybe we would have tried for that. I don't know. But we're like, okay. And The Outsiders has been an extremely popular Broadway show, and the rush line for The Outsiders has been crazy. And this is kind of the one that I was meticulously... Post-Tonys for sure. And this is the kind of the one I was meticulously stalking to see when people were showing up, how many tickets, how easy it was to get tickets, where are the tickets, where should we go, where should we sit, all of that.
Also, just to add here, The Outsiders was not always a Thursday matinee. They recently switched over in September, which I was like, oh, that's great. No one will know about it until like every single piece of media I ever saw on The Outsiders was like, new Thursday matinees. And I was like, oh no. We were also constantly checking the telecharge website or whoever the ticket provider was to see like what the actual seats were available for those days, because if like nothing was available, we were a little like more stressed about like, would there be enough rush tickets available, etc. So I will say, just because I do have experience rushing The Outsiders pre-Tonys, it was a very busy show back in April when I did it as well. I think we were there at like 8:30, 8:45, which is typically like early enough for certain shows. Not for this one. This one, people are there at 3 a.m.
We got there at around...
Which I don't recommend, by the way, because they might close the rush lines if people continue to do that. So do not do that.
They do not want people in the streets like that.
Blanket statement.
We got there around 7:27 a.m. I will tell you the funniest thing ever that happened to us. We had set our alarms for like 6:30 because we're like, we're going to get so early. And then we both like slept through the alarm. Because
our flight was delayed by 2 hours coming into New York. So we got in really late and then we got stressed.
So then we woke up. It was like 6:53. I saw the clock. I was like, oh, I got up, went brush my teeth. I'm like, we should go right now. Let's go right now. And we just put on our plain clothes. I put on my plain clothes. Essentially, we got on the bus. You can see it on
TikTok. You can see me smiling in my bare face.
We got on the bus at like 7:07. So literally like 10 minutes later, we're on the bus and we got to the rush line at 7:30. So we got to the Outsiders first because that was priority. I left you at the Outsiders rush line. And I walked over to O'Mary, which was just down the street. So we had 2 chances to see O'Mary. We didn't want to give up a regular show slot for it, but because O'Mary has an interesting schedule where they're doing some 5 p.m. shows, and they have 5 p.m.s on Thursday and Saturday. Those were our 2 slots where we could fit it in. I think we'd initially started looking at Saturday, but I'm like, I think we should try Thursday as well, just to give us a second opportunity. So,
and to preface, legitimately the hottest show on Broadway. Like, the hottest ticket.
Crazy.
So we already went, when Steph left me at the line, I was like, I don't think this is going to happen. But like, it was fine. No. We were just like, it was, when Steph got there, she messaged me to say that you were 14th in line, I believe. Yeah. And it was like,
16th at the Outsiders. 16.
And it was like, should I stay at O'Mary? It was like, well, you're already there. And like, if we gave up that spot, like, I would have been so upset about it, like, knowing what we know now. But like, I always think, I know being in a rush line alone for like 2.5 hours for some people is like the worst. But like, just do it, because you might be able to be successful in like what you see, and also you get to hear really interesting conversations around you. So that's my thoughts on that.
I was chatting with the person behind me in line at a certain point. You're watching. I love when people come up and they're like, "What's everyone lining up here for?"
Yeah.
It's like, please just leave us to my embarrassment alone, okay? Let me be
you already
at
see
8
all
a.m.
these, like,
alone.
especially at the Outsiders, all these like teenage girls on the street. Like, let it be. Just let it be.
Don't look at me. But yeah, so we got there around 7:30 and waited the 2.5 hours till box office opened at 10. And then at 10 o'clock when we texted each other, we're like, good luck, see you on the other side.
See you on the other side.
See you on the other side. And we'll start with me because I got my tickets first. I ended up going up to the box office, they'd sold out of the 8:30 I was hearing. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I don't really care about the 8:30. I want the 5 o'clock. I went up. I said, hi, 2 rush tickets to the 5 p.m. Oh, Mary, do you have any? And she's like, let me see. And she says, I have 2 obstructed in the box. I was like, done. Got them. Let me pay. This is about 10 a.m. at this point.
And what was the price?
I got tickets, $43 per ticket. I got the tickets, and the single person behind me got 1 ticket, and then I think the person behind him didn't get a ticket. So we were really like on the edge. For those 2 tickets.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, I got my tickets. I walked back over to Tara, who's still in line. Line has barely moved.
Yeah, I will say,
Please tell
like,
us.
I have thoughts on, like, the Oh Mary line letting everybody inside the theater because...
Yes, they let us inside, and they also had 2 box office attendants selling, so it was moving.
Fast, quick.
Yeah.
I think it's nice when it's cold outside to let everybody inside. However, I do think it gives a sense of like false hope once you get inside the theater because then you're like, oh my God, I've made it. I'm definitely going to get a ticket. But that's absolutely not the case.
Yeah, not to interrupt, but I do wonder why they don't sometimes say, this is what we have available in Rush.
It's always like crazy to me when you go up to the window and they're like, let me check. I'm like, you guys don't know what you
don't
have?
You don't
know.
Maybe they don't know what like the other person is sold at this point. I don't know.
I know, but
yeah,
still, like...
You don't know what you've got?
It's very different because we'll talk about it when we get to Friday, but like Stereophonic flat out told you we have 12 tickets, whereas like nobody else could give us a clear answer.
Well, Stereophonic was the only person I asked directly, honestly, but this is story. So Tara is in the rush line for the Outsiders. I'm trying to kill time. I'm like chatting. I'm walking around. And Stereophonic is right next to the Outsiders. I'm like, let me go see what they have. Like, let me find out. Because we're like, who knows if we're getting Outsiders tickets at this point? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Let me just find out. Maybe we'll go tonight instead of tomorrow, whatever. And I said, do you have any tickets left for today? He's like, I have 2 tickets left for that day. So this was 10:20 like, at that point.
Yeah, about,
and they had 2 tickets left for that night. And he said they usually have 12 tickets in the front row, which was really good information for us to have the next day when we went to the Stereophonic line.
So I think we got in at about like 10:25 inside the theater. Now there was 1 window open. So just keep that in mind. I will say because the Thursday show, we had a completely wide open schedule. So like if we didn't get tickets to the Outsiders, we just wouldn't have seen a show for the matinee because we both weren't interested in returning to Gatsby for 2 p.m. Although I do think we probably could have just walked up and got a ticket based on what we've been reading.
Maybe we would have, but we didn't have to make that choice.
No, we didn't have to. So we had decided going in based on research and also based on me seeing it previously that we wanted to try for standing room because the rush seats are partially obstructed. The Outsiders has like different levels of rush. There's 30 under 30, which I think go like immediately. There's standing room tickets, which are at the back of the orchestra. And then there's
it's like regular
partially
rush,
obstructed seats, which could be in the box. They could be in the front row.
It sounds like a lot of them are house left.
Yes, right where that tire is. So there's a very large tire that's on stage. It's a set piece, and I've read extensively, you've read extensively that like if you're sitting right behind it, you're like very obstructed from the show.
One single seat for $79 called the Pony Boy seat. That basically you watch the opening number from back of house, and then they just, because Pony Boy stands on your seat, in the opening number, he like kind of squats on it, if I'm being honest. Like when someone said stand, I was confused what they meant, but he squats on it.
It's also like 2 seconds.
It's very brief. And then after the opening number, they escort you to that seat, and it's in the front row. Yeah. And it's a single, and it's $79. And we did not want that either.
No, we didn't want that because it was a single ticket. And then I'll also say back in April when I rushed this, there was tiered rush, very similar to Company. I think we talked about that when we saw it, which was like $45, like $69, and then $89. And my family ended up paying for the upper rush, which like made me more comfortable with the standing room tickets because I knew that they were like 2 rows directly behind. We didn't know because we didn't look until like midway through the day that our standing room tickets had numbers, which I'll get to that when we talk about our first impressions of the show. But just so you know, there are about 25 standing room tickets, and it's just like all looped around the back of the rear orchestra, and they're all numbered. So
sometimes I wonder if they sell from one side to the other side or if they sell from center out, because we were pretty dead center, and sometimes that just I think ends up being luck if they sell from one side to the other side.
I will say, based on the people that were in the line, I think a lot of people were there because they're like fans of the show and didn't know so much about the rush process, because I did not hear many people ask for standing room tickets at all. So I think people were just like, oh, I'm going to line up early to go see this show with all these cute boys. Like, that's really what I think that most of the people in line were there for. And then we're like paying full price when they got up to the window.
As an eavesdropper of other people purchasing rush tickets, what I will say is if you are showing up at box office open, if you are lining up for an hour, 2 hours plus, like people who got there before we did, do some research as to what the rush process is and what is available, because if you're slowing down the line, well, we're slowing down the line, but if you are going, you've lined up. So we got there at 7:30, and this is people ahead of us in line. So we've assumed
they got there at 7. I heard them say
7 a.m. And they're at the box office asking, "What do you have? Where's this ticket? How much is this?" I think that's crazy. Sorry.
I mean, if you're going to do that, because again, box office opens for the general public at 10, I understand that that's fine. But if you're going to do that, you need to also walk in with the same purpose of, hi, I'm here to buy a full price ticket for this show. Yeah. Like, we can't be asking box office attendance questions when there's 35 people outside waiting for you to get out of the line. You know what I mean? Like,
and because it is a time sensitive thing, rush, like, you know, if someone else has gone up to the other window now and is getting a rush ticket that could have been, I don't know if this makes sense, but like could have been mine, but the window that I'm lined up for now is like being held up
100%.
Because you're, you know, being like, and what do you have in the boxes for $119? You know, obviously when the box office is open, it's a free-for-all for anyone to buy any tickets that they want, for sure. But yeah.
But for us playing the game, like, get out of my way. I want those tickets. Like, you know what I mean?
Go.
Like,
We're
let's go.
Moving. You weren't even that deep in the line, and you didn't get to the front
30
of the box
minutes.
office, so like 10:30. It's crazy. Yeah. And they only had one box open, so that's also contributing to it.
It also seemed like they were training someone, which I also don't recommend for like morning rush. Like, let's have the
maybe
most
on a one show
people.
day. Let's train people.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Like, same with your experience at O'Mary, there was 2 shows available for both of these. That's obviously not always the case, but I think it really helped us in this situation. A lot of people in that line were going for the 8 p.m. Outsiders, and a lot of people were going for the 8:30 O'Mary. All that to say, we got both of our tickets, and then we were like, what are we seeing tonight? And the day before, and up in the rush line, we had been checking SeatGeek for Cabaret tickets. SeatGeek is Cabaret's official ticket partner. We knew that they've been on TKTS, but they're going between the like 100, 120 range. And we were able to see that there were tickets for like 88, 77, or 66. We knew that we wanted to stay within about that range, just based on what was available. I think we both were like fine with going a little bit higher, but based on the tickets that were there, we were happy with the prices that we saw. We did find a first-time buyer SeatGeek code.
Yes.
Shout out. I don't know what your name is, but shout out.
Shout out to the Pat McAfee Football NFL podcast
there
that
you
I
go.
used your first time. Has that code ever been used to buy Broadway tickets before? I don't know.
I don't know. But it was used for this.
I was saying, there were some $66 or $67 tickets that seemed to be obstructed. And then there were like $77 tickets at the back row of the like second of like the new mezz. On the sides, and then the ones in the center were $88. And so we're looking at those $77 ones on the outside. And then we kept like flip-flopping, hemming and hawing, and then I went
We wanted to wait until we were secure on the afternoon because we might have seen a different show if it hadn't panned out the way that it did. So that's why we waited.
We were asking questions. And so you're buying the tickets at the Outsiders box office, and I'm on my phone, like on
also
SeatGeek,
inside the theater.
Inside the Jacobs box, like little lobby. And the tickets that were $88 at the back of that mez went down to $77, and I'm like, let's go. Got my $20 of first time seat buy. If you really wanted to play the system, we could have bought 2 singles and used 2 different first time $20.
I would have had to create a new SeatGeek account because I'm not a first time buyer. Yeah, because they're like
first time. But yeah, if you really want to game the system, another way to do it. So yeah, we ended up paying, and that was like fees all in. So
like 69-ish.
No, I think it ended up being like $67.50 or something like that each that we ended up paying for those. So super happy with those. Oh, and because it was the like new mez, it was the last row, but there's only 5 rows of that mez, so it's really small, and I felt very close.
Great.
I was worried.
I was just gonna say, $45 for the Outsiders standing room tickets is what we paid. And as I was saying before, I do not think that the tiered system exists for the Outsiders anymore because no one was talking about it. We haven't seen anything on Reddit. I didn't ask because I wanted to be quick and efficient at the box office window.
Like, let's go.
But $45 is what we paid. So 43, 45, 67, like pretty good for 3 like Broadway shows that Oh Mary
each.
Oh Mary is going for like $375.
Hundreds of dollars.
Outsiders, like, you're easily paying $225 a seat, sometimes all the way up to like $450, and Cabaret much less than when Eddie Redmayne was in it, but still in the like hundreds range. Those like Cabaret tables are, I think, about like $350, $400 now. They were going for like $1,000 previously, so numbers are coming down. But like, you need to play the game, you need to watch the apps, you need to like read and research. So a very successful free show. If you want to play this game, you don't.
If you want this stress, like. There is a perk to buying in advance.
It was fun, though. It was fun.
No, I know. I like it. I like it, too. It's enjoyable. But there is a perk to buying in advance, knowing where you're being at all times, and, like, having that peace of mind, which we did not have. Like, we went to New York planning to see 8 shows with only 2 tickets in hand. And so we really, it was up to what happened on the day. And because we had prepared so well and, like, researched so well, everything went exactly to plan. But, yeah, you have to kind of...
Again, check your weekends. Like a holiday weekend, this is not going to happen. So you need to like know when you're going and try to find
like
kind of off times. 100%. Even this past weekend, which was Thanksgiving for us in Canada, it's Columbus Day in the US. Like more show slots available, but like packed. So you really have to do your research. Yeah.
Here are my Thursday Playbill.
Okay, so we're not going to give reviews because we will be doing a dedicated Outsiders episode. We will be doing a dedicated Cabaret episode. I don't think we're going to do a dedicated
not Oh Mary. We'll talk about it a little bit.
We'll talk about it. Yeah, but we are, for the sake of this episode, going to give some first impression thoughts. I think the best way to do it is based on the day, so let's start in order. Also, as Steph is holding these up, this is for YouTube. These are legacy playbills that we received. It's the 140th anniversary of Playbill. So on the front cover, everything is different, but then on that second page is the like OG logo. Really like fun. Some people we've been following online, like the ushers are really working with the audience at some shows and like letting people pick or choosing different ones. We really ended up with the ugly playbill for many shows. So
me being a diva, like the final show of the weekend, they handed me my playbill. I'm like, I hate this one, like a brat. Like I was like not feeling it.
They had 2 copies though, so they gave you the other one, right?
No, they had all 4 mixed.
Oh, they had all 4.
They had all 4. Some shows did it differently. Like at the Outsiders, everybody got one.
Only Pony Boy, only Brody Grant, who we didn't even see, but only Brody Grant.
Only him. At Oh Mary, it seemed like they had all 4 fixed.
Yeah, Steph was like on the floor. Mixed.
And this is not the one they gave me, but I have
looking for
2 others. I was like a raccoon on the ground for different ones, and then Cabaret, they all kind of look the same.
I do think, I don't know by the time of episode release, but I do think you are able to purchase these legacy playbills.
You can purchase each set of 4, and then I think also there's posters.
Some of them really beautiful. MJ, really good stuff. Some of them are just like left on 10th.
Left on 10th. Left on 10th is really funny. There's a link where it has all the pictures, and maybe we'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah. So that was kind of fun to see like what was available. We also saw the playbills being loaded in. You'll see that in our our 3-show 1-day TikTok. We also were very active on TikTok. All of our daily vlogs, if that's what we're going to call them, are up now. But yeah, it was cool to see all the playbills being loaded in. Okay, so let's start with The Outsiders. I've already seen this show, so what were your first impressions?
What were my first impressions? I had a really good time. What I was struck by was I was like, this is really great staging and direction. I think where the show like is really strong is that that gorgeous set, and it's used so well by Danya Tamor, the director, and I don't know who the choreographer is. I'm sure I can find it.
It's the Coopermans.
Really. Oh, the Coopermans, I forgot. Really using, you know, every bit of space that they had to create like something so visually compelling, and the visuals telling the story so well. The music to me was like fine, like it was okay. I haven't felt the need to like hit play on it on Spotify at all, but
right.
You know, it served the purpose. It was pretty good. Like I had a nice time, and I would recommend it to people I know. Like I have some friends who really want to see it, and I can feel confident saying that they would be happy with what they would see. Like I don't think they would be disappointed by what they see.
Based on the seat, what would you say about standing room for this show?
Okay, I would say 90% of the show you're fine. There are some things that you're missing a little bit that I had to go crouch really down. The man next to me was so tall, and he was on the aisle. He went into the aisle and like was on the ground at one point to like see, because some stuff happens like right at the top of the stage that you do miss, and I was like really trying to get down for that. But for the most part, for the price, it's fine. For me, I always prefer like a dead center seat to any other seat.
We were so lucky to get those dead
like
center.
It's luck. It is luck sometimes, because you can't really be like, oh, I don't want those rush tickets, put me somewhere else. I mean, I guess you can, but you can pay $119 for a box, but you know, we're not doing that. But yeah, so I love to be able to see like a straight on, because I feel like that's the most authentic picture of what the director wants you to see and what they've staged it for. So yeah, for that price, for that value, I think it's a really, really great option to stand. Mm-hmm. The overhang is a little bit low.
It's a little low.
It's fine.
Yeah. I guess like my second impressions of this show, as you've heard me talk about previously, I really like this show. I think it will do so well on tour when it goes on tour. Like, oh my God. I agree. Like, I remember just when I saw it in April, all I could think about was like the movement and the choreography, specifically the rumble. It is one of the most beautifully staged fight scenes I've ever seen in a theater. I think they've really like captured something unique here that we haven't seen in a long time with the fan base. So it's like really exciting to me that people are so excited about theater, and it's like nice to see like big crowds at stage doors again. Like I know it's not always like the best thing to promote, and actors are not like obligated to sign for you, but to see such a huge fan base of people that are not super theater fans, it's like really exciting to me to bring a new audience for this kind of a show. So no complaints from me. I'm a fan of The Outsiders, and I again would also recommend it to many people. So, yeah. First impressions of Oh Mary.
Okay. All I really knew about Oh Mary was that it was about Mary Todd Lincoln, and it was written and starring comedian Cole Escola, and that's all I knew. That's all I knew too. And, you know, knew it was so popular and everyone wanted to see it, and it also had, you know, a unique showtime, which made it easier to fit. So I was like,
also, we knew that our Broadway boyfriend Conrad Ricamora was also in the show.
Playing Abraham Lincoln in it. Honestly, it was so funny. It was just so funny. We were in box seats, and when we got them, I'm like, oh, we're in the Lincoln seats for, you know, Oh Mary. Very obstructed, I would say. The back corner, Tara had a bit of a worse seat than me. Yeah. Sometimes if we... there's an intermission and we like don't love our seats, we'll swap, but there wasn't an intermission at this. There was like no chance to swap. Even for me, my seat was like a little bit better. I was hanging out over, I'm like, I'm gonna topple into the audience. I should have stood, we had to leave, but like I should have stood where the other two guys were in the box behind us, just to kind of see what that view was like. Basically on my side was, I believe, a door, didn't see it. Yes.
And maybe a bookcase, didn't see it.
Yes, I agree. So,
but like it was fine because majority was happening like center stage, so it didn't like really like I still had such a fun time. I've never laughed harder in a theater in my life, so it didn't like impact my experience, but it was definitely obstructed as advertised.
There's a climactic scene that happened that I don't think Tara saw one bit of, and I was seeing like
What scene?
At the bar.
Oh, I could hear it, but I couldn't really see what was happening.
Even me, I was leaning over and I could maybe see some hands on a table. Like that's all I could really see.
That's all I saw too. I couldn't see faces, but like
Yeah.
it didn't matter because I was
see a little
only
bit of it.
watching Mary.
Yeah, no, I know. And I would say the side we were on, you know, we had a good view of the fainting couch that Mary
Yes.
spends a lot of time on.
Yes.
So if we were on that other side, that was probably been obstructed, which is so much of Cole's performance is on that couch. So I don't know, it's a trade-off. And then kind of the finale happens, you know, center stage and was perfect and all
But
that.
the Lincoln seats.
The Lincoln seats.
I
screamed.
shook.
Basically, this is like a spoiler, but it takes place in like the 2 weeks.
But also,
up
like,
to,
for anyone that doesn't know what happened to Abraham Lincoln.
yeah, this takes place in the 2 weeks leading up to Abraham Lincoln's assassination, and Cole Escola's concept they came up with in 2009 was that what if Abraham Lincoln's assassination wasn't such a bad thing for Mary Todd Lincoln? So it's all leading up to the moment of his assassination, which of course happens in a box at a theater. So they do these short scenes and then they'll close the curtain and then they'll open the curtain and do a short scene. So they close the curtain on a scene and we know the next scene is the assassination. So
I was stressed. I thought they were going to come into the box.
I thought they were coming into the box. I agree. I was like, someone's coming to the box. But no, they're playing music, and they put a single spotlight on the box across from us. I was like,
oh no.
No. Spotlight off, and the audience loses it. And then, you know, music, spotlight on us in the box. And we're like, ah.
And then there's a box on stage that they've created.
Yeah. They don't come out into the into our box, but that was enough, and it was really funny.
I will say, like, I cannot recommend this to everybody because it's definitely not for everybody. People that were in the audience I don't know if they're technically like the demo because they're the rich people that can afford to see
really
this
expensive.
show. And the celebs are flocking to Oh Mary.
Yeah.
I think Tony time, this is going to be really interesting to see what happens with this.
Well, right now it's only playing till January.
But that was extended, right?
I think January is the extension.
Right. But it was supposed to end before the end of the year?
It was supposed to end before we even got there.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. It was supposed to only be 12 weeks of the Lyceum, and now it's extended to January. I've heard rumors that they're going to try and keep it going. It's hard because Cole is the star, and to replace them, I think, is really hard. Even just to let them take a vacation.
Yeah.
Is really hard.
Yeah, we saw an understudy for
Mary's
teacher.
For Mary's teacher.
Sad to miss whatever your name is.
James Scully, who is so handsome.
So sad to miss you. But the understudy was very good.
He was very good. Yes, it's funny, if you look in the credits, all the characters are named as per their relation to Mary. So it's like Mary's husband, Mary's teacher, Mary's like, where is it?
Oh, friend?
Mary's chaperone, Mary's husband's assistant. Like, it's all in relation to who Mary is. Which
this is
very
probably
funny.
like the raunchiest thing we saw all weekend, and we're about to talk about Cabaret, but it was so funny. I think like there's a very specific audience of people that would like it, and I have to say, like, people like my coworkers, like people that I know in my real life outside of the theater are like, oh my god, you saw Oh Mary. So this is like making its way outside of the theater world, which I think is really exciting. I think if anyone wants to listen to my thoughts on this, film it, release it, like put it out on streaming.
I wonder if they would film it, not even like on stage necessarily, but like build a set, like do something like a little bit more high production value. I think they could do something like that.
I think it would film it like the way that it's written and like presented. I think would be it would do really well on film.
It feels a little like sketch comedy at moments.
It's so funny. Also, like to see Conrad Ricamora in this way is like crazy because we literally saw him last year in Here Lies Love, and then like obviously I've talked about him playing like Seymour in Little Shop, so like to see him do something like this, wild. Speaking of wild, let's move on to our third show of the Thursday. So we had about like 30 minutes because we wanted to get to the pre-show.
This Omer ended at 6:20, maybe a little bit after, and Cabaret started at 7:30, and which means the pre-show starts at 6:30. So
yeah, 6:45, 6:30.
I keep hearing conflicting things, whether the pre-show is an hour or whether it's 45 minutes.
Regardless, we got there at 7:15, so
yeah.
That's really all you need to know. We had McDonald's in between because then I was like,
Stale.
oh my god, the August
Gross.
Wilson is so far away. We got to get to the August Wilson. This probably was like one of, I would say, like, most anticipated shows just because we had heard so much about it from the West End. Obviously, we were sad to miss, like, original cast doing it on Broadway, but once we heard that, like, Adam Lambert and Ali Carvalho were going in, like, interest kind of peaked again. Not to give too much away because we are going to do a full episode on this. Steph, I'll start with you because I feel like this is something that you've been, like, wanting to see for a long time. So what were your first impressions on, like, the whole experience, but, like, specifically the show?
Okay, I really enjoyed it. I don't know how Eddie Redmayne or Gail Rankin were, but I can't imagine anyone being better than Adam Lambert and Ali in these roles. Like, I think
specifically her.
She's really great.
A freaking star. Like, a star.
They're both really great. Like, she's really great. I can't imagine anyone being better, and I've maybe seen, you know, some comments online about similar to that. I think they really embody those characters so well. I was, like, really nervous when they announced Adam Lambert because I was, you know,
he's a
obviously he has
swelter.
an amazing voice. Obviously he has an amazing voice, but, you know, there's a lot of singing that could be happening, but I really felt he showed a lot of restraint and, like, really deployed the voice when needed only. I was really excited. I'd never seen Cabaret live before. I'd only seen the movie, and I knew a lot of the songs really well. It was funny to me even, you know, hearing the MC do the intro to some of the songs, and I, you know, knew what song was coming because I knew the, like, intro joke from listening to Joel Grey do it a million times on my iPod. I really, really liked it. Like, I have criticisms, I think. I, at the end of the day, think it's a fairly standard production of Cabaret. Like, a very expensive one, probably. But
just in the round.
I don't think they're doing anything, like, crazy with this production of Cabaret.
No.
And I think it probably lives and dies by performances. I would be really interested, and I will definitely do a bit more research when we do, like, a full deep dive into it, into, like, director's choices and maybe comparisons to what other productions have done. But yeah, really interesting, really enjoyed it. But yeah, I don't know. I want to like delve into more of what the choices were and why.
Yeah. I've never seen the movie. I've never fully listened to the soundtrack. I've never seen the show. I know the hits, and that's really all I know. I was less nervous about Adam Lambert because I feel like I like his voice a little bit more than you do on a regular basis. Again, super impressed by how much he held back. It felt very intentional, which, like, applaud him. And also we should, like, he is a theater person first. So
no, for sure.
I think he really was intentional about his choices, and I appreciate it. Again, I think she was a star. Like, I feel like people will see this and be like, what can I get her in next? I was really moved by Act 2. I think the stripped back staging in the second half of this show is really great. I will see the final stage picture in the round, everybody circling, like, maybe for the rest of my life. So I think it impacted me in ways that I didn't think that it would. But yeah, really good. I would recommend this. I don't know if I would recommend this to everybody. I would recommend this to people that are fans of Cabaret because I think it's interesting to see a different take. But I'm not sure that I'm out here recommending this to, like, every single person and their mother. Yeah, a very successful 3-show Thursday. We were exhausted by the end of it. Yeah. And then we were like, can't believe we're only seeing one show the next day. So here we are at Friday.
Where are the Friday matinees, guys? Where are the Friday matinees?
Seriously. If this was at Christmas time, we could have seen a Rockettes performance because they have many Friday matinees. But let's bring some Friday matinees.
They're going.
So Friday, we knew that at some point we wanted to see Stereophonic, and it was either going to be the Thursday or the Friday. But knowing that it was a 3-hour and 10-minute performance, we thought maybe it would be best to just see it on the one show day, although it felt very short to me.
I know, it raced.
So I was in the Outsiders Rush line on the Thursday, which was right next door to Stereophonic. So I was kind of watching what was going on the entire time. There was 4 people that were at that rush line. So we knew that we didn't need to wake up at like 7 a.m. to go see Stereophonic, which is interesting because the week before they had a cast changeover and people were outside at like 6:30. So you really do need to know what's happening if you're interested in rushing this show.
We saw the first week of the new cast, like their 5th performance, essentially.
Yeah.
Which was exciting. We ended up getting there when 8:45-ish?
About, yeah.
We were 3rd in line. There were 2 people ahead of us in line. We got there about 8:45. These Rush tickets are $35, so the cheapest Rush tickets available. All
First
front row, 12 seats, front row. We ended up being dead center.
After you were sassy to the... Well, she was sassy
I know.
to you.
I know. I was like, as center as possible. And she was like, yes, I saved the best ones for you. I was like, okay, girl.
And then she did. But turns out...
We were dead center. But this is what you have to know about Stereophonic Rush. And this is probably why they're only $35. Like, they are a cheaper Rush ticket. They're very obstructed. You would think, oh, dead center. Because the stage is quite high and because of the way the set is, you're blocked from most of the recording booth for a lot of the show, and a lot of the emotional moments happen in there because that's where all the music is being played in that recording booth. When people are sitting at the piano, can't see them.
Drums? What drums?
No, couldn't see the drums. And a lot of times, the character of Reg is playing bass at the back. He's standing, but he's right at the back.
I could only see him when he was, like, walking a bit. It's so interesting because, like...
He came to the front sometimes, but...
We switched seats at intermission, which ended up kind of being pointless because they don't spend as much time in the recording studio.
Yeah, and they also changed the setup in the recording studio at intermission. Like, the mic goes in a different place, so it didn't matter.
It didn't matter, but I will say, like, that first half, like, I was really seeing next to nothing. Yeah, it's so rough.
And as we talk up Rush this whole episode, that is the trade-off of Rush. They are setting aside not as good tickets. They're selling premium tickets at a premium price and setting aside less good tickets, obstructed. A lot of times, Rush is all obstructed tickets, and that's the trade-off with paying a discounted rate.
My note for that, though, is that I'm not sure if... I don't have the ticket on me. I'm not sure if it said partially obstructed, because if it said partially, it's not. It's fully obstructed. Steph went over to the aisle, I think on house right, and that
still
man
in the front row.
Fully obstructed.
No, very obstructed.
There's a big couch that's in front of you. So, and they're only giving away 12 tickets. So as far as I know, those people paid full price to sit there. So I don't know. I would say for this show, if you're super interested in it, I think pay a little bit more money. And I'm saying, like, at least 5 rows back. Like, if you're short...
For sure.
10 rows back.
What I will also say is the last few rows of the mezz are also obstructed in the other way because heads are chopped off in the recording booth. So you're not seeing people's heads. So if you can sit... Like, if we're on a budget, if we want to spend as little as possible to still see it, I think, like, 3 or 4 rows... from the back,
yes,
is probably your best bet for the
even
cheapest
that
ticket with the least obstruction.
Yeah, or I was looking recently, the like first row in the second half of the mezz seems to be much cheaper than the first like 5 rows of the mezz. It's a really small theater. We've never been in the Golden before, so I would say there's no bad seat, but there definitely was a bad seat for this show
for sure.
But further back, definitely no bad seats. Like, if you're sitting rear orchestra, those are fantastic seats. I would prefer those to the front seats. Yeah.
I went and sat in the back row in the dead center just to see, because I love to research. I love to be curious, and I think those would have been really good seats as well. Yeah. I probably would have preferred to be a bit closer than that, but I wouldn't have complained about those seats at all.
Right.
But yeah, the front row, a little bit frustrating how obstructed it was. But again, that's the trade-off. You pay $35, you don't see the whole show.
Are we going to do a stereophonic episode?
I don't know.
Does anyone want a stereophonic episode?
Does anyone care? Tell us.
It's hard to say. Obviously, a play. This is a play. 2 plays.
This is the thing. We saw 2 plays, but both of them had musical
elements, yes. I will say, much more music in stereophonic than I was originally anticipating. I literally thought we would hear, like, 2 half songs. I didn't expect to hear full songs.
And what we heard, 2 full songs and a few half songs.
What we heard, like, it sounds amazing in that theater.
You're hearing like little nuances of the recording studio, like little like tips.
I don't know if they won sound design, but if they didn't, like they should have won sound design, because that was the one thing that I was like recounting to people, was that like when they're in the recording studio, like they're turning off their mics, they're still talking in the background, they could flip them on at any time as if we're like legitimately like doing this for real. It felt very real. I just wish we were like 10 rows back, because I'm like I've said this before. Without even seeing this show was made for Steph. She was going to love it. But I personally was, like, taken out of it because I was so focused on not being able to see certain
right.
aspects. Even without the recording studio, like, we're looking up the whole time. So it was just like, it was too close for me. And I'm someone that normally loves to sit very close, but I just wouldn't recommend it for this specific setup. That being said, like, this is a 3-hour and 10-minute musical. It flew for me. I have no notes on how long it is. Everyone on stage is, like, really giving great performances. Obviously, it won Best Play at this most recent Tonys, and I understand why. I would recommend this, but again, like, with the caveat that, like, I actually don't think anybody should rush this show.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't sit in those rush seats again, and I wouldn't tell anyone else. Maybe if I'd seen it from a really good seat before, maybe I would go back and rush just to, like, kind of be in the room again. But realistically, no, I would not sit in those rush seats. Yeah, like, again, all that being said, like, I really did love this show. I really thought it was really excellent. I was so moved by it. I cried, like, 5 times.
I know.
There's not, like, crying. I mean, I guess there kind of are crying moments, but, like, they're, you know, at the end even, like, the last moments, and it's, like, a wordless moment. I was, like, I'm crying now thinking about it. Like, crying in that, like, those like last moments of the show, because you're on this journey for 3 hours with these characters. So really moved. Would recommend. It's long. Even I was thinking, you know, about my dad, like, who's read the book that this is not based on.
Controversy. Maybe it is based on. We don't know. At this moment, it's not, but maybe it is.
I was like, you know, it's a bit slow. To me, it didn't feel slow, but trying to think about it from another person's perspective.
It's definitely slow.
It's a bit slow.
There's a lot of like quiet moments. There's a lot of like things happen over and over again. It's very monotonous, but like it's supposed to show you that like that's what it is to be like in a session of a recording studio. So if you're like not, if you're not used to like focusing on something and like being okay with the silence, then yes, this is very slow for you. But if you're just willing to like be immersed in that kind of like recording experience, and I think it's fine. It didn't feel any longer to me than like anything else that we saw.
No.
Except for like obviously Oh Mary and like whatever. Yeah.
But here's the thing, you know, Oh Mary was 80 minutes long, and it didn't feel long, but it didn't necessarily feel short.
No.
But both Cabaret and Stereophonic, their first acts were an hour 45. And I'm like, we were in and out of Oh Mary by this time. Like, crazy. Yeah. So something to keep in mind.
For me, Act 2 drags a little bit, but like Act 1 really races. There's a lot of music in Act 1, so it's really solid.
Act 1 is really perfect, I think. Just like the recording, like the creative process, I think is, you know, really, really strong. And then Act 2, we're kind of getting into like different minutiae of what it means to record or create an album. And it's like a different energy from Act 1.
Yes,
but
100%.
Really, really interesting, really, really good. So, Stereophonic.
Okay, now we're on Saturday. So I will preface that on Thursday in line for The Outsiders and on Friday in line for Stereophonic, I was playing the Today Ticks Digital Rush to see how successful I would be at getting tickets for the next day. So we knew that we wanted to see Once Upon a Mattress, and we had heard that the seats are pretty similar for in-person Rush versus digital Rush. And we thought, you know, if we don't need to go back into Times Square on Saturday morning, that's great. We can just show up at the theater when the show starts and do something else in the morning.
And
if we
the
get
show
these
is
Rush
at
tickets.
1 p.m. too, so
we love to see it. We love to see it. Yeah, it's really annoying. If you're there for 10 a.m. when box office opens, if there's people in line, you're not getting out by like 10:15, then you got to go, then you got to come back. It's a whole thing. So we tried Digital Rush. All this to say, we were ready for 9 a.m. anyway, because if we were both unsuccessful, we were going to go to the theater and get tickets that way. But we were both on. Steph set an alarm for 8:58. I'm watching the countdown go. I'm in the bathroom putting on makeup. She's sitting on the couch, like, waiting. And we got tickets for Once Upon a Mattress. I actually hate this playbill, and
it's so ugly.
I much prefer this.
Some of their other ones are nice, but they were only giving out, it seemed, this one the day we were there, so I didn't even scrounge on the
price. Let me open the app. Were they $49?
$47 maybe?
$45 with an $8 fee included. So $90 for 2 tickets to Once Upon a Mattress. These were pick up at the box office, so we didn't know where our seats were till we got there, which was fine. The next day we'll tell you that was different, but you'll hear that in a bit. This was just a show that, like, we were interested. You've never seen Sutton on Broadway before. I feel like it's like a rite of passage to see her in a show eventually. This was a Encore's transfer, and it's closing kind of soon, so we thought,
like November 30th, something like that?
Yeah. So, like, we had options. We could have seen stuff, so we could have seen Hell's Kitchen. We could have seen stuff, but this was a new season show, so we decided to see this. And then we bought tickets for Sunset Boulevard 6 months in advance. So we'll get to... This was
weekend.
Yeah. So we'll get to that.
Second week previews. Sunset Boulevard.
So let's talk about Once Upon a Mattress quickly. First impressions, Steph. Oh, sorry. I should say we were sitting in the first row balcony, way off to the side. I don't always recommend this, but look around the theater, and if you can, we noticed that there were 2 seats dead, like on the aisle of, like, in the center, front row in the balcony that were available. So we moved to those at intermission. Those are fantastic seats in the Hudson Theater. So if you're ever wondering what it's like to sit first row balcony and if they're a good seat, perfect seat. Like, perfect seat. It's pretty small in there. And this show does not have a set. Band is on stage. There's, like, a few pieces that come in and out, but it's really stripped back. So there was nothing that was, like, obstructing us from that aisle seat. I missed a couple, like, entrances, but that's really it. So I really can't complain about, like, the partially obstructed view. I've seen much worse views online in the Hudson Theater, so I was pretty happy with where our seats were in the balcony.
Our original seats and our new seats were both totally fine, I think.
Yeah. Okay, now, thoughts.
How I feel about this was fine. Like, I don't really care.
Wow. As you've learned in the past year, Steph is a musical comedy hater these days. So.
Honestly, like, it was fine. Everyone was good in it. It was funny. I haven't thought about it once since, like,
yeah,
whatever.
honestly, same. This is a show for your family, so if you're looking for, like,
so
a family...
So many kids in the audience, which is great.
I actually think that, like, helped because hearing kids laugh at certain moments made audience laugh, so, like, that was really fun.
Yeah.
Anyone that's saying that, like, Sutton's giving a bad performance, she's giving the exact performance that I expected her to give. It's, pretty on brand for her, I would say.
She sounds amazing, but
she sounds great.
Like I said before, like, I knew every facial expression she was going to make before she made it.
Yeah. To me, Michael Urie was the standout in this production. I thought he was really fun in this. It just looks like
Daniel Breaker,
really
good.
Really good.
Who I didn't like that much, like Anna Gasteyer.
Yeah, giving a really over the top, like, performance. For anyone that doesn't know, this is, like, The Princess and the Pea. I'm happy to see it because I've never seen it and I've only heard about this show for, like, ever. So it was nice to just, like, check that off the list. Did we need to return to the Hudson? I don't know.
No. If I was replanning our trip, I think we initially kind of liked this because it was at a 1 p.m. and we were trying to get that Oh Mary at 5 and it would have given us room. And then once we got the Oh Mary on Thursday...
We didn't really, like, reevaluate Saturday.
We didn't really reevaluate. And I think if I could have reevaluated, I would have tried...
Subs?
No. Safety Not Guaranteed at BAM.
Oh, yeah.
Would have been what I would have replaced this with if I could.
Agree, but then also
I would have seen Suffs. Like, I think I'm kind of sad that I'm not going to see Suffs. I don't think Suffs is really going to tour.
Film it
here.
No, I swear they announced a national tour.
No, they might tour, but I don't think they're coming here.
No, it's not a David Mervish show.
Not a David Mervish show. So yeah,
but it will probably be at Shays, so we could go to Buffalo
Shays for
it.
Suffs. But yeah, I'm sad to not see Suffs. But it's like, as much as we saw, like, it's hard to fit everything in. I don't know, but yeah, this was fine. Like, I don't really care.
Yeah. I also agree Safety Not Guaranteed would have been, like, that spot. However, like, again, it's nice to see something that was, like, new for the season because nothing else was, like, new for the season. So
No, I know.
It's hard. We went early.
But, you know, I do love to see a potential pre-Broadway. You know?
I know.
Or not.
We saw a potential
I've actually heard the
pre-Broadway.
reviews. I've heard the reviews of Safety Not Guaranteed are, like, not as good as the show we ended up seeing.
The guys beside us at Stereophonics saw it. Remember? They were talking about it.
Oh, sort of. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the moment we've all been waiting for. This was literally it's my most anticipated show of the last, like, year and a half since it opened in the West End. Again, we bought these tickets in advance because we thought that it was going to be a Merrily situation. And I still think it could be based on the chatter that's happening now. But it is, at this moment, currently readily available for Rush at the theater. Digital Rush online.
I think there's a digital Rush. What I've heard, though, is Rush is very obstructed. And
the St. James is really not it.
It's not great. It's really big. It's too big. So I was shocked how good the sound mix was for a house like so big.
It sounded incredible in there. Like it sounded
amazing.
so
Oh my god,
good.
that like 17-piece orchestra. It was so good. Yeah, I've heard the rush seats are pretty obstructed, and what I'll say is a lot of action happens on the screen, and the screen for a lot of the show is on the ceiling, and then it comes down, and it's like angled down. So if you're above, I think what you're seeing on the screen is probably warped, or you're not seeing a lot of what's on the screen. So being in the orchestra is the ideal spot.
I did see someone say that they were sitting in rear mezz and they loved their seats. So
good.
I'd be curious. I'd be curious to know. That's a lie. I've been in the St. James a few times now. I have sat in the balcony. Mezzanine only, do not go up to that balcony. It is so steep. It is so far away from the stage. So I do not recommend the balcony. We saw second week of previews. They weren't selling the boxes. I don't know if that's going to change. There was someone up there that maybe was inspecting what the seat looked like.
Here's another thing. We sat 2 rows behind Jamie Lloyd. Like,
we did.
Jamie Lloyd came right before the show started. Like, Jamie Lloyd. So the only other time I've been in the St. James when I saw Into the Woods a couple years ago, and my parents won the lottery. My dad literally won the lottery for Into the Woods, and so they were in the box. So I wonder if those might end up being lottery seats. And then we bought a single ticket for me in the orchestra, which was kind of basically essentially where we sat, but just on the other side.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit obstructed, but fine. I would say our seats were not obstructed to me. Like,
not obstructed, a little off to the side. I will say it's very squishy in that theater in comparison to the other theaters. Tight. People are pretty tightly squeezed. We paid $179 for those seats, and I would pay that again and again and again.
If I were to go again while it was still running, maybe I would rush it now that I've already seen it. But
I'm curious to know where I haven't been keeping up since we came back, but I'm curious to know where the TKTS seats are located. As I sound like a broken record here, we will absolutely be doing a fully dedicated episode to Sunset Boulevard, but initial thoughts.
It lived up to the hype for me. Like, we'd been hearing so much about this show, about the performances in this show, about the staging. It really, really lived up to it for me. And, people have been like, oh, Jamie Lloyd, minimalist staging, minimalist costume. I didn't think there was anything minimalist about this production at all. Like, this felt so extravagant. It's hard to explain because there is no set. And they barely change costumes, and it's black and white. But this did not feel minimalist. It felt maximalist to me. And I think that comes down to many of the choices made. But yeah, really, I was so happy to get to see it and like it live up to my expectations, and more. So that's that. What about you, Tara?
I loved this. I would see it again. I would tell everybody to see this. Nicole Scherzinger.
A star. Amazing.
I know there are...
A star.
Tom Francis. Tom Francis is really the star of this show to me.
No, he's so good.
There were 3 mid-show standing ovations for this. 2 for Nicole, 1 for Tom, and ensemble for that opening act 2, which
and
we are.
Lloyd, I think, really.
And yeah, exactly. Which like we are so obsessed with the opener of Act 2 all over the internet right now. I've seen every angle. I've seen every video. I've seen every West End angle now. This, as I said, was my most anticipated transfer from the West End, and it's very rare that you walk into something with the highest of expectations and you think it will just match it, but this exceeded all of my expectations. There are certain stage pictures that I will think about when the screen turned red and we saw everybody in silhouette. The use of cameras is phenomenal in this. As viewers of the 2020 West Side Story, the use of cameras were so intentional in this production.
And this score sounds
oh my god, it sounds so good. And we've both never seen the movie. I was like kind of dabbling in pre-existing Sunset Boulevard like orchestrations. I think they've reorchestrated and like for the better.
I definitely think they have reorchestrated. I think, what I've heard, it's a 17-piece orchestra. I'll confirm that number, which is so rare on Broadway at this time, because we're always cutting budgets for musicians and orchestras, and they did not cut that budget at all. It sounds spectacular.
Actually, by the time of episode release, this week, the cast recording will be out. It's coming out on October 25th. The only song that's out currently is Sunset Boulevard. Which, like, really, what more do you need? But I literally cannot wait to hear Nicole sing some of these songs again. Like, this is a star-making performance for her. I know it's a hot season for women, but, like, watch out. Could be hers.
No, I know. Who, you know, what's gonna top this?
I also like feel for her in the same sense that like I literally don't think she can do anything else after this, but
yeah,
it's iconic. It is iconic.
No, it suits her so well. Can't wait to talk more about this more in depth.
Yeah.
Sunset Boulevard, love you.
Okay, and then Sunday. So again,
What a day.
played the game on Saturday and Friday and Thursday to see if we were able to do Digital Rush for Anne Juliet. Yes, you heard that right. We've seen this show before. We love the show, but it's one of the only shows that has a Sunday night and an early Sunday night. So it was a
6:30. Dang.
It was a quick trip back, but our options were like Chicago.
When's
Aladdin?
Moulin Rouge is like a 5 p.m. on Sunday.
They have a 5. They have a 5 p.m.
It's a bit too early for what our plans were for the rest of the day.
And we haven't seen Anne Juliet in a couple years, so it was something that we were like excited to see before that original cast like leaves basically right now as you're listening to this episode. But the first show that we saw was a pre-buy, Empire Records at McCarter Theater in Princeton. We paid $73 for these seats.
Yep.
That was on us. We could have paid less, but that was on us. So
yeah, we kept going back and forth on if we were going to do it or not. And then we committed, and then the cheaper tickets were gone, blah, blah, blah. We sat second row, which was slightly obstructed, but fine.
Yeah. Just for that, like, big Empire sign at the top there.
And this is closed now. We saw the closing performance. And what I will say was it cost $20 to get there from New York City and $20 to get home. So something to keep in mind if there's ever something there again. Like, factor it into your ticket price because that is also, you know, part of it. So, you know, you're like, oh, $73, that's fine. Okay, plus
this,
$40.
plus this. Yeah.
So you're at $113 to get there to come back.
We got on a train. We got on another train. We were there. So, like, as long as we made the times, it was pretty seamless to get there. I think it was
we're like applauding, like walking out because we're like,
gotta go.
We gotta
go. It was like an hour and 50 minutes, I want to say, all in to get from like Penn Station to Princeton and then Princeton back to Penn.
We got on like a 4:20 train, and Angela was at 6:30, and we got off the train at like 6:10. So we were
hustling and I was like
hungry.
Like, gotta pee, like, let's go. But thank God. Anyway, so before we talk about this show, we were successful in the Digital Rush for Anne Juliet. They were
47?
They were $47 per ticket, but because I've purchased multiple Today Takes tickets, I had $5 off, so they were $5 off, so it was $89 for both of us to see this. Our seats were in the orchestra off to the side, I believe like row M. They were digital tickets, which was actually so helpful because
our seats already.
We exactly. We didn't have to go to the box office, so that was super helpful. And then so we went to Princeton and we saw Empire Records and loved this. Loved this. It was so wholesome. Really I cried more at this show than the entire trip. We laughed. I laughed, cried, like, so good. Really good.
What a cast.
Lorna Courtney, Sammy Williams, Damon Downo in a really random. We will do an episode on Empire Records.
I loved him, but I think if this goes anywhere, he's getting recast. Sorry to him on that.
Yeah.
Liam Pierce, so fun.
Liam Pierce?
Who played our fave? What was his name?
Oh my God.
Lucas.
Where
Tyler McCall, so funny. He was so funny.
So funny.
Warren, you're killing me. Just everyone was killing me in the show.
Music was really good. Set had budget for an out of town.
I know.
I really loved this, and we had heard from like theater influencers that we follow that a lot of people were like really loving this, and that it felt like this is a new musical that finally feels right.
Feels
I
good.
think like based on what we saw, it's ready to go. Like, we can transfer this tomorrow.
It's in good shape. It's in really good
great shape.
Really
although everyone's busy. Everyone's booked and busy. Liam Pierce walked into he's walking into Anne Juliet. Like, it's a busy time. I don't think they should recast him. I think he's like perfect in this part.
I loved him in this. He's really good. I'm so curious. I thought this was really excellent. Like, really loved it. Really good shape. Like,
also,
is it Broadway?
90 minutes.
90 minutes. We loved it.
Is it Broadway? It's maybe off Broad. I was going to ask you if it felt like Between the Lines.
Okay, I think this is better than Between the Lines.
Okay.
Though I did cry harder Between the Lines because I don't really know. Maybe I was just emotionally fragile. Act 2 of Between the Lines got me so hard. It was crazy.
I mean, Act 2 of, like, not Act 2 because it's one act, but, like, the second half of this show, like, really got me.
When I cried the most was of laughter.
Oh my God.
When Rex Manning came out for the first
Day.
time. That was so funny. I literally don't know the last time I laughed that hard.
I don't think you've not seen the movie
I've never
either.
seen the movie.
Yeah, so I know it's a cult classic movie. Again, a lot of my like coworkers really love this movie. So when I was like posting about this, it was like, oh my God, this is a musical. I only imagine that like it was an easy, like, it's a movie that sings, so that's why this was turned. I really love this.
It's
I really
about
think
music. It's about music lovers. Like, it makes sense. It makes sense to me.
We didn't even shout out our main girl, Annalise
Scarpacci. This was not supposed to happen. She's good.
In a buzz cut wig, like
Taylor Amon Jones being criminally
in
underused.
the Princess track. Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
like
get
paid. Get that money, girl.
Really, like, really good cast, like, really great music, everything. There's a lot of stuff online, so you can look that up. But yeah, we will be doing an episode on this because I think, you know, we like to see it out of town, and when it's, like, in such good shape like that, it's really exciting. But yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if it ever goes.
If anything happens with it.
And then our final show of the trip, and Juliet. You know what? What a show.
She's a classic. She's already a classic to me. I think she's going to be on Broadway for a long time. Like, holds up. So much fun.
Drew Gehling.
Betsy Wolf's
still in it. Oh my God, he was the boy band moment in this was like maybe the hardest I've laughed since seeing it the first time. Paulo Cesat, like, really giving everything he's got still 2 years later.
My parents were like, "Is the French guy still there?" I'm like, Paulo Cesat, he's there.
I just first of all, it's such a feel good show. The music is so fun. Like, everyone is obsessed with this like music. Another one that has like a big fan base. We met these people at the stage door that were there for like 55th time. Like, me being like 5, you being like 4, like 55. And he was saying that there was a girl that was like at the other end that was here for like 130th. So like there is rewatchability of this show 100%. Fairly easy to get a rush ticket. It's always on TKTS.
We both got the Today Ticks. Here's the thing. We both got the Today Ticks. And I'm like, I don't have as fast a finger as Tara, so I was surprised I got it. So then Tara's buying it on her phone. So I'm like, let me see. I tried to go in again. It was 2 more tickets.
Yeah.
Like, it seems pretty easy on Today Ticks.
Yeah.
And our seats were extreme side, but I didn't feel obstructed.
No, they were good. And also because we've seen it before, like, I wasn't upset to be sitting where we sat.
It's a really new theater, the Stephen Sondheim.
Yeah, really nice.
Really nice. It's like in the basement. You go down to get to the orchestra level.
No cell phone service down there.
No service because you're in the basement.
Yes.
It's great. And the stage door, really wide open, really clear. Something that, you know, after we saw Mamma Mia the same week.
We actually ended on our 9th show, which was last week.
Thursday.
And it was Mamma Mia. Thank you to Mervish for inviting us to opening night. It was actually wild to see this after what we had just done. So,
you know what? I'd never seen Mamma Mia live before, so I was happy. But what really struck me, what was different about Anne Juliet to Mamma Mia, I actually think there are similarities, which I said to you. But what's really different is the way they're so intentional with lyrics in Anne Juliet. Like, they will cut up a song between 5 different people if one line suits another person well. And they really, like, have the songs feel like dialogue in Anne Juliet. Whereas in Mamma Mia, I feel like they feel a little bit forced. Stop,
start.
Yeah.
We also will
really
say...
Really conversational in Anne Juliet.
Anne Juliet has an intentional, perfect stage moment where the stage lifts and turns, where Cabaret overused their stage moment.
Yes.
So...
A critique of Cabaret.
Anne Juliet, like, really intentionally using set when they need to.
Even thinking about in Roar, when she goes up on the balcony, I'm like, they've been sitting on this trick for that whole show to have like maximum emotional impact when she goes up on the balcony at the end.
It felt big to me there. It sounded really good, which is funny because like we've only seen it in Mervish theaters and like we've critiqued their sound before, so to hear it in its full glory on Broadway was like pretty exciting. But yeah, like I'll recommend this show for the rest of my life. We've said it before, like it's our show, so happy to see it again.
That morning, there seemed to be a lot of tickets available, but when we got there, it was pretty full. So
I
feel like it's a big TKTS show. I feel like a lot of people are buying last minute tickets. I feel like it's recouped. I think it's recouped already.
Yes.
So they're kind of just like playing with house money at this point. So
and also like
I think it's gonna be there for a long time.
I also feel like it's gonna have such longevity on tour. It's playing in like multiple countries across the world. So like it's really done. It's done very well. Sad to miss Felipe Arroyo before he left.
He was busy.
And sadly, we didn't see him on the streets of New York when we saw the rest of the Spelling Bee cast.
No, we did. We did awkwardly run into the rest of the cast of Spelling Bee. Tara's like, is that Beanie Feldstein? Wait, let's talk about our other celebrity sighting. Okay.
Who?
Michael Urie at the stage door of Angelia.
The funniest was like, I say to Steph, I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's Beanie. And she's like, that's the girl from Merrily We Roll Along. I'm like, okay, so we're just glossing over the fact that I just said I'm pretty sure it's Beanie,
No,
but that's okay.
I'm adding context, and then it's like Noah Galvin and like Kevin McHale and other people.
We were talking about this later, but like the person that actually felt like a celebrity to us was Kevin McHale. Everybody else, it's like, oh, you know, like local people. Beanie's been in like many movies, but like no one tops Artie from Glee.
No one tops Glee. No, I did look back at one point and make prolonged eye contact with Noah Galvin, so sorry to him for that.
I should have congrats. You should have been yelling, congrats on your wedding.
I do think they clocked that we saw them, but also that we were just gonna keep walking, if that makes sense.
You know, it's like when we saw Casey likes going to Playa Bowl. Like, you're just gonna let them get their smoothie bowl and get out. I'm not here to be like, loved you in, I don't know, Booksmart. Like, I'm not gonna do that. If we were in the same restaurant at the same time,
was he in The Real O'Neills? Noah Galvin at The Real O'Neills, was that his show?
Not gonna say that like 2 episodes ago we compared you on a pie chart list of different box. Like, not gonna do that, but maybe we should have. That actually
It's a Venn diagram. No, the other celebrity sighting was the funny celebrity sighting. Michael Urie saw Angelia at the same performance of Angelia as us, so we'd seen him the day before, and then he comes to the stage door, and like the security was not having it, so they made him wait outside, and then they made him wait like just inside the stage door, which is glass, so we can all see him. And we're like, okay, who's he waiting for? And then people come out like
Ben Walker
and
Justin Davis Sullivan.
Both said hi to him. Great. Okay, Drew Gehling comes out, says hi.
I'm like, he's waiting for Betsy.
Okay, but then he leaves before Betsy comes out, and we're like, okay, he's done. He's got a reservation. I don't know. And then Betsy comes out, and I guess someone tells her Michael Urie was here because he didn't tell her.
She's like, where's my friend?
She's like, my friend was here. And everyone at the stage door was like, he went that way, and then he turned right.
So she like runs down. She's like, Michael! He didn't turn around.
Call him.
He never came back.
She's trying to call him. She's setting up a picture of herself.
It was comedy.
She was lovely, but it was very funny.
It was funny.
Like, he went that way.
It was funny because then as we were like waiting along with him, we're like, how does he know anybody in this cast? I'm like, I feel like he was in How to Succeed. He was in How to Succeed with Betsy at the Kennedy Center. And you would think that like a security guard would be like, you have a guest, but no.
This is kind of related to Spelling Bee, but also related to this. But Broadway Ben on TikTok went to the stage door of Spelling Bee and filmed everyone coming out and said how long after the show ended they came out. It was like
my God,
10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I was like, so good.
This is like
Felipe
the
Arroyo
reverse.
came 10 minutes out, Bonnie Milligan 40 minutes. So,
this is like the reverse of that TikTok trend that was like, my party's at noon. What time is everybody showing up? It's the reverse of that. That's really smart. I'm trying to think the longest, now that we're here, what's the longest we've ever waited at, well, we haven't talked about the Nicole Scherzinger fiasco, but maybe for another day.
That was really funny. It was really funny.
I think the longest we've waited was like Aaron in Boston. That was long.
Yes, but that wasn't because he didn't come out. That was just because there were so many people there.
There was 10,000 people there. But possibly
like
the longest.
The street?
Oh, speaking of, I also want to say a shout out to Bryn, who's friends with Shara, who we saw last time, but also she's like Broadway Brittany on TikTok, I believe. You can follow her. She came up to us when we were waiting at the stage door for Sunset Boulevard, and she told us that she went up to the Outsiders at like 11:30 a.m. and asked for standing room, and they still had it available, and that was a Saturday. So take that information as you will. She was going to the night show, so I don't know. We've read this before. Remember you read one on Reddit that was like 12 o'clock, walked up, got a ticket. I was like, this is crazy.
They've kind of got a lot available because if they've got that house left section for Rush, and then they've got maybe 25 at the back. That's kind of a lot.
It is
honestly.
A lot. Yeah.
And then, I don't know if they have other stuff set aside for Rush that's also obstructed. Plus, if everyone is getting up to the box office and then panicking and then buying a regular ticket anyway, Like,
That's
it's
how
fine.
that show's staying alive. Everyone's buying full price tickets to The Outsiders.
Like, stop buying full price tickets, guys. I mean, some people need to buy full price tickets to keep everything alive, but there are other ways. There are other ways. Wait, I have a game. I have a game. A brief game.
Okay.
Do you have all your playbills?
Yeah.
I'm gonna read like a superlative and then hold up the playbill that this applies to.
I'm really bad at this, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so what was your most anticipated show of the weekend? Ready?
Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Okay.
we need to say it too. We forget that we have audio
Sunset
listeners.
Boulevard. Sunset Boulevard. What was the most surprising show for you?
Are we doing like a 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, I think 1, 2, 3.
Empire Records.
I would say Empire Records, but I for
Oh,
difference,
Mary
I'd
was
say Oh,
surprising
Mary.
in a different way, but I'm not surprised that it was funny.
No,
You know what
not
I mean?
surprised that it was funny, but it was just surprising. Okay, most tear jerking.
Empire
For
Records.
me, this is Empire Records. Empire Records.
Oh,
Okay.
really? But like stereophonic for you.
I did cry, but not as much as I cried at Empire Records, but I did cry.
It
Those
was
are kind
so
of the two that I cried the most
wholesome.
in.
It was so wholesome.
It was really funny. Okay, most shocking.
Oh, shocking. Ooh. I mean, there's an obvious choice here, but I'm not going to choose it.
I think. Yeah, the cabaret. We both put cabaret up.
I will say this is maybe a spoiler, but also not.
Oh Mary.
Yeah, shocking in a different way, but there is a moment in Cabaret in the second act that, like, I gasped, and it's a very, like, beautiful moment, but also, like, very devastating at the same time, and I think that, like, put it over the top for me. We'll talk about it when we get there eventually, but, like, that.
Okay, most happy to check off the bucket list.
Oh.
I think.
Sunset Boulevard. Yeah,
I was
stereophonic.
just a little, but I put up stereophonic. You know.
Yeah.
Most disappointing. Wow.
I mean, like, not because I hated it, but just
No. It's
mattress.
just like, whatever.
Yeah.
It's whatever. Okay, most unforgettable performance.
Like, are
Sunset
we
Boulevard?
even
Nicole.
But also Tom.
But also Tom.
But also Jamie Lloyd.
Jamie Lloyd. He stood up for Nicole too. Most laugh out loud.
I think Empire Oh no, sorry.
This is hard. This is
Sorry,
hard,
it's
but
O'Mary.
It really is
I
O'Mary.
typically am like a decent silent laugher, but like I was cackling at
No.
this.
No, it was crazy. Both O'Mary and Once Upon a Mattress had prolonged vomit gags that I could not watch. I was really gagging in my seat.
I know the Sutton one really got you, but the O'Mary one was like a lot.
I had to turn away at O'Mary, and then the Sutton one went on for so long.
It did.
And I had my program in front of my face. And then I like peeked out just to see what was still happening, and the 1 second I saw, I gagged. I was like, I'm done. Okay, most likely to recommend.
Ooh. Hang on. Okay, I'm ready.
Ready?
And Juliet.
Yes. Okay, and who is the most famous person we saw? This is my final one.
Is it in the playbill?
I mean, in your opinion.
This is a toss-up, I think, because I'm going to say, like, Adam Lambert, but also Nicole Scherzinger.
But Nicole. You know, reality television stars. Adam and Nicole. You know?
But also,
a
like,
rapid
for
fire.
different reasons, Sutton,
a star. And Michael Urie, Anna Gasteyer, Daniel Breaker.
And then
Joseph
also for
Mansfield.
different reasons, Cole Escola.
No, Conrad Ricamora, not James Scully.
No.
Who was not there.
No.
But no, yeah, lots of star power this time.
Yeah.
There you go.
Wow, what a way to end that. Anyway, that was much longer than I thought it was going to be, but we had a lot to say, so hopefully some of this was helpful. As we've said all the way through, we will be doing dedicated episodes for many of these. Not Anne Juliet. If you want to listen to our thoughts on Anne Juliet, go listen to our Anne Juliet episode from when it was in Toronto. But yeah, that's our 8-show weekend. Don't know when we'll do that again. I feel like the recovery took a long time. I'm still feeling like, even like... Because we were waking up early and going to bed late because, you know, like we stayed at my brother's, shout out Tyler, for letting us stay at his place. But you do like walk back. We have a bit of like a walk back where you can like kind of decompress the show, which is kind of nice. but like you're still thinking about these things until like you go to bed. Like I'm TikToking, I'm Wikipediaing, like I'm trying to figure out everything while also intentionally trying to figure out what we're doing the next day. So it's definitely like not for the faint of heart. It's not for the weak. Do not do this with a person that doesn't like theater, but I would do this again. I would do 8 shows again.
I would also do it again.
Actually, while we're here, should we tally up what we spent? I know a lot of people don't talk about money, but I think we should actually talk about it for the sake of this video.
We've kind of been like saying it, but I think like on tickets.
On tickets. 45 plus.
I'm gonna count it. This is my job.
43 plus 60.
66? Let's say 67.
67 plus 35 plus 45 plus 179. Was that all in? We're talking American pricing here because that's really all that matters right now. Plus 73 plus 89 divided by 2.
It's $44.50.
There you go. $44.50.
Okay, so for 8 shows, $531.50. So it's a lot, but
it's
US.
really good. It's really good. Yeah, US. We're not gonna.
So
that's
we
fine.
can't compare as
that's
we're Canadian,
fine.
and that's really it hurts.
And also, but we are converting in the process. Like we do it. We don't pay in Canadian when we're there. Also, as far as I'm concerned, Sunset Boulevard was paid off 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So I will say that does seem like a lot of money, but it's 8 Broadway shows, not Broadway shows.
That's an average price of $66 per show. So
really good.
I can't complain. I can't complain.
No, same. And
most people aren't doing this many. If you're just seeing 1 or 2, you can get 2 shows for under $100 per person, let's say.
But also to compare it the other way, like most people that are seeing like 1 show on Broadway, they're paying full price tickets. So they're paying $400 for like 2 seats. So we try to maximize, like if this is the limit, we didn't really have a limit, but we stuck to what we wanted to do. Like I don't think the only one that I would say we like maybe overpaid for was Empire Records, adding in everything else. But I don't regret it because I loved it. So that's kind of that. I don't know. We follow a lot of theater influencers online who try to stay within the like under $60 range. And to hear that it's about like $66 per ticket, like I think we did very well on this trip.
Yeah, I feel good. I feel good about this. But, you know, full transparency, like it is expensive. It is absolutely expensive.
And that's doing it cheaply.
You know, which is why we try to do it so cheaply like this. And obviously our average was brought up by Sunset Boulevard, which again would pay again. But it does impact to pay almost $200 on 1 show. Yeah. Your average, it brings the average up.
100%. But no. Very successful. Hopefully this was helpful for someone that's looking to rush. And if anybody has any questions, like, let us know. Or if we're doing things wrong and can do it better.
Are there better ways?
Tell us. Because I'm very interested. But in the meantime, you can listen to any of our other episodes by subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also watch us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a comment.
And you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Off2Bway Podcast with the number 2 and at Off2Broadway on TikTok, where you can see a little bit more of our New York trip.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.